This educational and romantic film revolves around a couple, Ved and Tara. Ved is a man who is fascinated with stories. As a child, he would visit an old road storyteller who keeps mixing up his characters. He would always take money from his savings and give it to the man in exchange for stories. Because of his love and zest for it, his teachers would complain to his parents about it. Ved meets Tara one day when they are both on a vacation in Corsica. She requests a call from a restaurant owner and he refuses to grant her a call. She gets upset, insults him in her native language, and then leaves abruptly. Ved follows her and asks her to use his cell phone. She cries that her bags have been misplaced and says that she loves Asterix in Corsica, which he finds amusing. She agrees to use his phone. Afterward, when she tries to return the phone to him, he thinks of an idea. They come up with an amusing verbal pact to keep their real identities undisclosed. They pretend to be Don and Mona Darling and talk in dramatic and hilarious filmy dialogues. Tara gets back to the restaurant where the restaurant owner gives her a card from Don, telling her to be at the museum. Ved also makes the man apologize to him. She goes to the venue where she is given food while waiting for him. They dance together at the festival. As this pact goes on, they explore the island together and also stay together. Despite the romantic energy between them, they agree that whatever stays in Corsica stays in Corsica. They meet as friends and they lie that she's an actress. She keeps up the lie and tells people that he creates movies. Ved then tells a story to everyone in the restaurant. The audience is amused and celebrates him for being good entertainment. When she realizes she is falling in love with Ved, Tara decides to leave Corsica despite the romantic friendship with him. She is given her passport and decides to leave that day. As she leaves, she gets an idea and returns to the room. She kisses him and tells him that they will never meet again. They then kiss and she leaves for the airport. Tara returns to Kolkata, India. Tara's father hands over his tea business to Tara, and she expands it by starting a line of tea boutiques, taking the company ahead. She is off to Delhi for work and 4 years have passed. While Tara's life is going on, Ved also changes. His witty, amusing personality is gone as he focuses on work. He now works as a product manager and delivers quality presentations to his firm clients. He doesn't dress the same as before and wears suits and ties all the time. This is because his father tells him to stop thinking about stories and make himself someone better. He urges him to go to college and do something great with his life. One day, they cross paths. Tara surprisingly meets Ved and they reveal their original identities. She admits that she had known he was around all this time and wanted him to notice her. They plan for a date at a Japanese restaurant. He gives her flowers. She expects him to talk like the days in Corsica, but Ved talks about business only. She briefly notices his behavior change and asks him if anything is wrong. He convinces her that everything is okay with him. After the date, Ved drops Tara off at home. She calls Ved up home to be intimate. As she kisses him, she notices that he is not very home. Ved later leaves for his home, and the next morning Ved wakes up on time, completes the morning chores, wipes the car, and lets a female colleague into the lift. All this happens on his way to the office. He fixes another date with Tara again in the evening. His routine goes the same way, every morning. On Ved's birthday, he proposes to Tara by placing a diamond ring on her cake. His friends anticipate her answer, but instead, she asks for them to speak outside. When they step outside, she declines the proposal because he is different from the guy she met. He argues that it was role-playing. Tara believes that he is hiding behind another person and it is all fake. He argues that it is all in her imagination. She rejects him, saying that she is looking for someone else. He cries when they break up. He returns to the restaurant and lies to his guests that he and Tara have things that they are working on. Unknown to Tara, she triggers his mental health and he begins to react weirdly. He goes home and promises to stay cool while talking to himself in the mirror. Ved goes out for drinks with his colleagues and gets drunk. Ved later visits Tara at her house. She gets concerned about his health when he shouts at her. He tells her that he is ordinary and average like every other person. She argues that she knows the real him that is hiding behind a mask. He yells at her that she doesn't know a thing about him. Tara tries to comfort him, but he leaves upset. He gets into a conversation with the writer and wonders why he didn't go to the movies. The writer pours his heart into his sleeves and tells him that life had to change because he had children. In response, Ved completely breaks down and his residual mental disorder is more triggered. Ved begins to have problems at work. His boss chastises him for not dressing well and for losing it over a girl. He delivers a presentation but fails hard. Tara worries after he leaves and is scared of what he would do. He returns her calls and assures her that he would be fine. Unconvinced, she asks that they should meet. They meet at a restaurant. She apologizes for speaking about the change and worries that she may have hit a nerve. He gets upset at her and tells them that she is not a psychologist or allowed to psychoanalyze him. She further apologizes to him and asks for the ring. She desperately wants to marry him. Ved tries to leave and she stops him. She professes her love to him, but he rejects her, saying her energy is negative. Ved tells her that one day, Don will return. While comforting him, he leaves abruptly and wanders around the streets. She follows him to an abandoned place and kneels, asking for forgiveness. He doesn't say anything to her and leaves. The next day, Ved continues his office routine with a change, gives a diamond ring to someone on the way, and gets evicted from his workplace for his continuous mindless behaviors. An exacerbated Ved, due to his psychotic break, ends up upsetting his boss with a bad and silly presentation in a business meeting. The boss calls him to the office to talk and to figure out the root of his problem. Ved gets upset and starts to react harshly. With that, the boss calls security. Ved is fired and escorted by security from the building. Ved begins to showcase rash behaviors and gets physical with the guest at the party. He is told that he is dangerous and shouldn't be walking around. Ved later goes home, shaves, and goes for job interviews to start over. He tells the story to a couple of people in an eatery. An unemployed Ved comes back to Shimla and reveals to his parents he was jobless and wandering for 6 months. His father gets upset with him for what he did and castigates him for not being good in life. Ved gets annoyed that his father doesn't support or listen to him. He swears to leave the house. In his room, he recalls his younger self being infatuated with stories. With that, he decides to complete his own story. He goes to meet the old storyteller. The storyteller is now old and delusional. When he starts the story, Ved notices that it is not complete. He calls him out on it, which makes the old man react harshly. The old storyteller criticizes Ved's irrationality and confronts him to complete his own story. This opens Ved's eyes and he is excited. Ved leaves and runs through the street, happy and dancing with school children. Later on, Ved narrates his life story to his family members. He promises his father that he would not die mediocre. His father hugs him to reconcile their differences. Ved encounters the beggar who gives him back his ring and she tells him that the ring would fulfill his heart's desires. He decides to make amends with Tara. Tara, after finishing a business meeting in Tokyo, heads for refreshments where she finds a note titled Dawn Returns. Perplexed about God's presence, she moves around the office campus and Ved draws her attention with the Dawn personality from Corsica. Later on, Ved and Tara complete the process of putting up an elaborate skit on stage, which is a spectacle that depicts their own life story. After the show, everyone applauds Ved for his masterpiece. He thanks Tara for her support and kisses her.